Hello, my name is Arturo, and today I am showing my infographic on the country of Japan and their economy. The reason I chose Japan was mainly because I had heard a bit about their economy before, knowing that they are one of the largest growing in their GDP. They're very innovative country with constantly growing and outputting new technology every day, something new, and they're always discovering something. So I really found fascination in that, and I wanted to see how I wanted to dive into research on how their economy was. And so the four indicators that I had chosen were their GDP, quarterly GDP, their inflation rate, as well as their employment and interest rates of their central banks. And so as for their quarterly, you could see that the GDP increases, showing their increase in GDP. You can also see a more of a slowdown in their inflation rate from compared to last year to this year, as well as their employment has decreased 0.22 million people, meaning they went on to unemployment or they dropped out of the labor force. And it also shows that their interest rate has skyrocketed compared to the beginning of last year to the current month, or at least the May of this year. Okay, sorry about that. So, showing you my infographic and my information that I've gotten so far, I had put down, that information about the GDP rising, as well as the inflation rate slowing, employment going down, as well as the interest rate of the bank going up. Personally, due to my findings, if I were to compare the health of the country prior to now, I would say that the economic health has worsened, personally. Mainly because Sorry. Okay, let me restart. I believe that economic health is worsening, mainly because they are in more debt than I think 2 times more than their economy, I guess, if that makes sense. I could show you an article from the New York Times showing Japan's debt to GDP ratio, then mentioning that their debt to GDP ratio is running above 200% for the past 5 years. And that's just like, their debt is enormous. And I believe that they'll continue to worsen. As for each indicator, I believe that the GDP will continue to grow, as I had mentioned before. They are a country that is very innovative, and they are always bringing something new and discovering something new every day, creating new things, and and that really does benefit GDP as well as population growth. As for their inflation, I believe it'll continue to slow down because they are in such large amounts of debts with the possibility of a recession. Although it does predict it a bit here, we can never know until that year comes and we get the data. As for employment, I believe it's gonna keep decreasing due to a slow economy, and with their advancing technology, they're going to constantly, they could, even at certain points, replace technology with workers. Cheaper, more efficient, less pay, it's that could be one of the factors of less employment. And as for their interest rate policy, it keeps increasing, mainly because they are trying to increase it to manage the economy. They're trying to slow it down, but if they also try to increase their interest for their central banks, it's gonna cause them to pay more than what they originally have to with their debt. So it kind of causes more of a problem. And that kind of leads me to about whether, if I was on an economic advising council, if I would lean towards a Keynesian or neoclassical government. And I would probably lean more towards neoclassical, mainly because I believe for something like this, it shouldn't have as much government involvement. At least I don't believe so. Mainly because I see more improvement when focusing on the long run than if we were to focus more on the short term, like of the now. Because if we over time slowly start to improve, I believe it's more concrete and solid and more assured. And not only that, it's showing that government involvement can cause more harm, and because they increase their interest, they are having to pay more out of pocket for this debt. So it's kind of showing like if you kind of try to mess with it, it's going to get worse. But that's kind of why I chose neoclassical. But also, entirely, that is why I chose Japan as my country. I really enjoyed making this infographic. It was an eye-opener to find out most of this information about the country. And I think I might continue to keep an eye just to see, hopefully, how they go about this. But yeah, that is my infographic on Japan. I hope you liked it. And see ya.